Does this sound like you? I remember when I would talk with girls who snap I got with no intention or direction or substance, to be honest, and 10 out of 10 times I would wonder why they'd ghost me. Until I realized this. Oh, and happy Halloween, by the way. Girls typically ghost people because they're not invested or just intrigued by the conversation. I mean, who blames them, right? If you're in sales and you're trying to sell to someone who's not even in the market to buy, or you're just a bad salesperson, of course they're not going to buy. With this being said, a term low investment comes to mind. Now, don't get me wrong, you could be perfect and a girl could ghost you. That's her personal problem that you don't know about. So don't take much responsibility for her own decisions. Just let yourself know that that doesn't reflect who you are. Point being, build a system that recognizes when she's the problem and you're just fine, and vice versa when you're the problem and she's fine. Typically it's just bad communication skills. With that being said, I'll give you a few pointers of why she might have ghosted you. One is she's just low invested. This doesn't mean that over time she'll become more invested. It's just right now the conversation that you're having isn't intriguing to her. Now, of course, there are scenarios where with time the attraction blossoms, but that's for another time. Specifically, the point being is give your attention to girls who pick you and stop picking girls who don't choose you, right? Another thing is you might just be boring. Seriously, check yourself, stop and check yourself. You might be terrible at conversation, and in your head you might be a master. So this is why it's so important to review your own texts, your old texts, or have your friend record a conversation of you guys talking to see how you actually speak, because you might just be really closed off, monotone, boring, talking about some who cares. So I know this is a harsh answer, but typically this is just you're a copy and paste of the last person, the last dude that she talked to, and you're not typically exciting. I mean, who blames her? A way to counter this is my next tip, which is have intention. When you go into a conversation, you might just go into conversation to get yourself comfortable with having these conversations. That's perfectly fine. And when you get comfortable having these conversations, then you want to progress to the next skill, which is having intention behind them. What is intention? When you go and talk to someone, you might just say, okay, just go and talk to them. That's fine. That's step number one. Because I know a lot of people who hesitate. Okay, after you figure out that hesitating problem and you talk to them, you have to have direction, intention. You just talk and the conversation goes nowhere. So a person who has intention would look like, okay, let me just go talk to her and see what's up. And after you talk to her, you're like, you know what, she's actually pretty cool. Let me get to know her better. So how do you get to know her better? You get her number and you say, hey, I thought you were kind of cool. Let's FaceTime later. I'm just making some random shit up. And then after that, your intention is getting to know her better. So then you FaceTime her to get to know her better. And then you go from there. So it's kind of put your foot in the door and step by step build yourself up. Baby steps. One thing, this is important. Do not give her your snap. If you give her your snap, you're either in high school or you just don't got it. You're like every other guy. I don't know a bigger non-physical turnoff is than someone giving their snap to another person. Disgusting. Blasphemy. But seriously, people like this typically just have conversation with no intent for weeks on Snapchat. No wonder she gets bored and dips, because she does this all the time. And if you're thinking, oh, it's too crazy to give her your number, well then you probably haven't built the connection with her, so you probably shouldn't give her your socials anyways. But if you feel like the vibe is right and you want to give her your socials, Instagram is good to show her your cool lifestyle, or just give her the number when the vibe is right. And if she says no, our phone number is too personal, well, it's phone number or no way. So you're just kind of just saving yourself time there. Which goes into my next point. Don't get to know her over text. This is why I love phone number. This is why I push for it. It's either phone number or nothing for me personally, because I don't like to get to know people over text. It's way better, and you stick out way more and leave more of an impression on her if you FaceTime her. You take the initiative to do what most people have not done. Most guys do not do this. You stick out by doing this. Hey, I'm gonna FaceTime you later. Hey, you're really cool. I gotta go, but we should definitely get to know each other more on FaceTime. You FaceTime her, you use whatever text or in person as a catapult to FaceTime, and you use FaceTime as a gauge to see if the vibe is right, see if you want to get to know her better, and if there's, chemistry or something. Then you use FaceTime as a catapult to meet up in real life. Intention. So if you followed all those previous steps, you're pretty much prone to ghosting. Of course, she might just be a terrible communicator or just low quality. That's not saying that all people are like that or whatever. Any person can be of those qualities. So it's not like specific to girls. That's not what I'm saying. Now, if she ghosts you, what not to do is spam her. Typically, if she ghosts you, just leave it a few days, and if you want to hit her up, then you can text her like 3 or 4 days later. A try hard tip that I kind of know is if she ghosts you and you like her, I don't know why you're trying so hard, but I would not do this. Just to let you know though, texting apps like the Text Plus app, you can get a fake phone number and you just text her number as your friend. So you get the Text Plus phone number app and you get her number and say, hey, this is blank, Zach's friend. He mentioned you and he said, the vibe was cool. Like, what happened, y'all? Or like, he wants to hang out or some shit like that. That's kind of a try hard way. I wouldn't really do that because I would just call her, which is my next thing of advice, which is typically what she might do if she falls under this category. She just sees it going nowhere, so she doesn't want to entertain it. So you take initiative. And disclaimer, there's a difference between you guys not talking for a few months and wondering what went wrong or where you went, kind of just like it fading out, and her giving you mixed signals. Personally, me and personally you guys are not someone who is like, oh, mixed signals. Take initiative. I've done this a plethora of times and it's always worked out for me. If there's mixed signals and you're like, I don't know if she likes me or not, we haven't talked in a little bit, just call her. Literally, I want you to do this actionable step. After this video, whoever comes to mind, I remember talking to this chick in my class, but I don't know what happened. Literally call her and you text her, you say something like this. I'll give you free game right now. You say something like, you literally just call her out of the blue and say, hey, my bad, I haven't texted or called you. I've been busy and I know that we haven't talked in a little bit, but when we did talk, I really enjoyed it and I enjoyed spending quality time with you. So let's catch up sometime face to face. Of course, there's some previous context, like you've known each other and there's some whatever. But by taking the initiative and just playing your cards out, you don't waste your time with, oh, does she like me? You get straight to the point. It's direct. You save time instead of just letting that shit live rent-free in your head. And typically, girls won't take the first initiative. It's kind of your job, your masculine role, which is fine. That's literally normal. I feel like it's better. I remember doing this to this chick a while ago, and I literally just called her out of the blue because there was mixed signals. There was definitely a spark there, but I never took the initiative to ask her out. And months go by, we were doing salsa club together or whatever, and one day I was just, fuck it, let me just call her up. It was a 45-second call and she was down. She later told me that, wow, I've never had anyone who took the initiative and just called me out of the blue to ask me out. I left an imprint on her. That is what you want to do to a beautiful woman. Because once you leave an imprint on her, a positive imprint on her,
you imprinted on my daughter?
She will not ghost you. You'll have that exact opposite problem. She will not stop leaving you alone, which is a beautiful, amazing problem that you want. Now, call that girl up right now. Follow these tips. Watch them again if you have to. And I'll make more videos about this stuff because it's very intricate. So this is probably just one pillar of many that you need to build the confidence to be the person that you want, the James Bond kind of suave guy who talks to girls, which is fine. There's a lot of building parts that go together that create this. Sort of like a dance. The first step though is taking initiative. So call that girl that you always wanted to, or who has mixed signals that you have some history with. Literally 45 seconds, say the whole line that I said, and you either get yourself the date or save yourself time, the time that she lived rent-free in your head